And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bash us, him.
June 23rd, 2024. I'm excited about this episode, New York's Finest Unfiltered Podcast. This is your 265 Police Live series. We bring you an interesting podcast this episode. I'm super excited. I'm your co-host of this podcast, Eric Demos, Complaint Cop. With me is John McCary, founder and the co-host of the podcast. And we get to honor the most honorable man in New York City and possibly the country right now. The Pope got to meet him himself, the man of the year, Eric Adams, to kick off the summer of 2024. Here you are. Let's talk about his accomplishments. John, I am so excited to get into this. Let's do it.
He has so many accomplishments we're going to get through. So for the 67th annual scholarship awards gala, the NYPD Hispanic Society, they're hosting an event on October 2nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. at Marina Del Rey in the Bronx. They've named Man of the Year, the swagger man with absolutely no plan, Eric. He's just like Jesus. He's just like Buddha. He's just like Gandhi. Adams as the Man of the Year. We're going to go through his accomplishments. Eric, if you had to name, what do you, like on a good stance, like what do you think sincerely? Is there something you could say positive that he's done?
Hold on. Can you give me about an hour? I just want to think about it. I'll get back to you on that one.
Let me give you one. I'm going to give you one, and I'm going to give you one that I hear a lot. I'm going to give you one that I hear a lot that people say is a good thing. He settled all of the city contracts, right? And that's what everybody goes on. He settled. Oh, he got us a pay raise, except for the Sergeant Benevolent Association. That's a disaster. They're still not in contract because you have rookie sergeants bumping right to top pay, and you have guys that. And by the way, SBA, you're a bunch of losers. You still got me blocked on Twitter and all that, but that contract's horrible. I think this is the second time that's happened where you have rookie sergeants getting promoted and they pass guys that are actually in rank for 2 and 3 years. They go right to top pay, and those guys are getting passed, and the SBA can't seem to work out something to stop that from happening. Just have you guys all bump to top pay. I personally think you guys are entitled to back pay. I think you have a huge lawsuit, and not only against the city of New York City, but against your union. But I'm going to say that's the accomplishment. But from my stance, and actually your stance too, Eric, we went in depth about that contract. Eric Adams sold you some money up front to steal your health care in your retirement years. So to me, it's a huge failure. But other than that, that's the only thing he did. Like, could you think of anything else?
Well, I actually want to completely debunk that. You and I talked about that, right? I don't think it's an accomplishment at all. I think it's actually a setup because it's all timing. Pat Lynch was making his way into retirement because eventually he was getting right through the rumor mill, and it was credible information that he was going to work directly for Governor Hochul. But somehow New York's Finest Retired Unfiltered Podcast completely intercepted that. And that's why these contracts were all settled at the same time, because they're all in bed together. They all eventually had a party together. They're all in bed together. This was all timing. They were told they would get these 12-hour tours. That would be part of their contract. They would get all this money. Exactly. And they're attacking their health care. It was just one complete setup. Listen, eventually these contracts had to get settled anyway. It was 6 years in the making, just a complete setup. I don't see it as a success at all. And the way it was settled created a huge nightmare. And it's a logistical nightmare eventually when the SBA does settle that contract. It's going to be a logistical nightmare. It's going to cost money to actually have all that fixed because it's extreme amount of damage in the ladder that's going on with those raises.
Yeah, they're not even going to fix it. They're just going to screw those guys. And nobody's going to stand up for themselves, and nobody's going to talk. Oh, the union, they're trying. They're working, Mo. They're having golf outings. The guy's down in Florida more than he's in New York City. He's in Florida more than I am, and I'm a resident now.
You know what you're going to hear, John? It is what it is.
It is what it is, Mo. Listen, just taking on the chin, kid. But like, so yeah, I say that that contract would have been better if they would have taken zeros and kept the healthcare in retirement. that's going to cost you way more than that, whatever you made, the 15% that you guys made. So I'm going to say right now the contract's a fail. As far as crime, Eric, how do you feel crime in New York City is? He was a New York City cop. He was a New York City police officer. He was paid by the NYPD. He continues to be paid by the NYPD as a retired member of the NYPD with his illustrious 9 arrests that he made. He was out there policing the streets, kicking those crackers' asses. How do you feel he has fared in his 2.5 years as mayor when it comes to crime?
It's interesting, right? Because he said, we coined the phrase, crime is down and jobs are up. I think that he should get an award for the gaslighter of the year. He is, I have to admit it, I have to give him credit. No one gaslights better than he does. He actually lies to your face with a straight face. He's the guy that his face is saying no, but he's actually saying yes, or vice versa. He does it with a straight face, and people actually eat it up. It is the biggest nonsense. It is such a lie. I think that he's exactly that. You should get an award, Eric Adams, looking at you right now, for gaslighting. And he's taught the upper echelon of the NYPD to follow suit because they're doing gaslighting themselves.
I agree with you. I mean, the guy's shielded because of the color of his skin. He's shielded from criticism. He's shielded from honest criticism. He's shielded from criticism of his appointments, of his dirtbag appointments that he puts in. And he's completely shielded because if you criticize them, because it's the chocolate administration, as per his words, not mine, if you criticize their work ethic or what they have accomplishment or their work that they've actually performed, you're a racist. That's what they get. How many times have we been called a racist for criticizing him? So he runs on that he's going to bring crime down. Crime, violent crime, all crime is up since Eric Adams took office. But yet, crime is down, job is up. That's what he said. I coined the phrase. He coined the phrase, crime is down, jobs are up. Complete lie. Complete failure, in my opinion, when it comes to crime. I think people haven't felt this unsafe in New York City since I was a young boy.
Well, he even went further in this gaslighting. Not only did he gaslight the public, he actually insulted and criticized their intelligence. All the residents of New York City, you watch this right now. If you're a cop, if you're not a cop, you watch this around the country, because there's other mayors like this, but he just takes the cake. He actually told the public of New York City that your psyche is playing a problem right now. Your psyche is playing with you right now. You see these heinous crimes right now, but it's not a reflection of the crime that's going on in New York City. Even though you heard the stories and you saw in the paper that a 13-year-old girl was raped while her friend was tied up to watch, that's just playing on your psyche. It happened, but crime is really down. I'm sure before Mayor Eric Adams was in office, we had this happening quite often, right? We had this more often, right? We saw illegal aliens, military-age males, raping 13-year-old girls. Do you remember that, John? Because I don't remember it. Maybe somehow we forgot about it. But what's also interesting to note, and I think we should talk about this, right, John? I want the public to understand this, especially the cops right now, the cops that actually believe that Mayor Eric Adams has your back. Ask yourself this: is he really telling the truth? And I'll tell you what, here's how you could easily fit the bill. We invite anyone on this podcast from the Hispanic Society or anyone that feels that Mayor Eric Adams actually deserves this award, because there are going to be some people who say that John and I are just complete haters. And, we're going to provide you the data and information to show that this is actually just a complete joke and just for self-serving for the Hispanic Society, because we're going to lay out all the issues. But if you can show us the opposition and show us why Eric Adams should be Man of the Year, please come on this podcast and debunk our information.
So let's move on. Migrant crisis, right? This is what it's called, right? It's called the migrant crisis. Listen, nationally, I'm going to agree. Joe Biden is a huge failure. Although I heard Lieutenant Edward Raymond say that Biden's the guy. I can't believe it. Edwin's a very intelligent guy. I can't believe that anybody's going to vote for him. I heard the same statement from Eric Adams, that he's very happy with Joe Biden when it comes to public safety and when it comes to the economy. He's done a great job. Eric Adams is very happy with Joe Biden. So does he really support you? But the border being open is Joe Biden. That is Joe Biden. It's not Eric Adams. However, Eric Adams stood there, said, "Welcome everybody. This is a sanctuary city. Our police force will never cooperate with ICE. We will never harm these, I forget the word he used, undocumented migrants, because that was the word they used at the time. Now they're, no, I'm sorry, he called them undocumented immigrants at the time. Now they have gaslit people into using the word migrants, which is actually our borders are open and the proper term is illegal aliens. How do you feel he's fared as far as being a mayor and navigating New York City through this time?
Complete nightmare. Let's think about this on a small level so people can actually understand the magnitude of what's going on, right? We talk about open borders in correlation with New York City, right? Open borders in Texas and open borders on the Canadian side, where we're actually getting points of entries from illegal aliens, military-age males that are intercepting our country. Imagine you lived in a community somewhere and there was no security guard at your gate, no actual physical gate to be an obstruction or obstacle from you getting in that location, but you had bad intentions. There's no gate. You're inside that development. You're in an area, and now people start to invite you in their houses for food and shelter. And let's pretend one of those houses is New York City, and they invite you in. Come have food. Here, we have a place for you to sleep. We'll even find you a job. Can you swim? If you could swim, we'll find you a job swimming. Wouldn't you go to that house? That would be the house you would go to. Out of all the houses in the development, in the community, which houses would you go to? The ones that close their door, that don't let you in, or the ones that give you food and shelter? And that's what's going on in New York City, because we're not vetting them. We're not letting good, obliging citizens that want to better the community. Maybe I'm sure there are some, but, and this is my correlation I use. If you're eating a bowl of soup, John, imagine eating a bowl of soup and it tastes great, and you just put a little hot sauce in, it changes the flavor of the entire soup. And that's what happens. Yes, there are good people coming in, but it just takes a couple of these unvetted military-age males to change the flavor of what's going on in New York City and make it dangerous. And that's why we have to put up all the barriers to make sure to put people safe. I am completely in opposition to a sanctuary city.
But Eric Adams wasn't. And he's still not. And he still to today believes the border should remain open. So I'm going to say, when it comes to the crisis of illegal immigrants flooding our borders and heading directly for New York City, I lay that on the shoulders of Eric Adams. Because like Eric said, now picture your security guard at your front gate's gone. He's not there. But Eric Adams is standing there saying, hey, come here. I'm going to give you a free debit card. I'm going to give you food. I'm going to give you shelter. I'm going to give you clothing. And I'm going to get you the ability to work. Because I heard that you guys I heard you guys are good backstrokes. I heard you guys could swim, right? I heard you guys, you cook good food. You know how to dance. We're going to put you cooks in the kitchen. That's basically what he did. He invited everyone here under a complete falsehood that this is the land of the free and the streets are paved with gold and we're just going to hand you things for free. Because I'm going to be honest, Eric, I don't care if somebody's here and they're a good person. It's not for us to judge, because again, if we entered, I'm a good guy, you're a good guy. If we cross the border in Mexico, they're not going to say, you know what? I like John. I like Eric. He's a good guy. He didn't have bad intentions. So we're like, yeah, well, he didn't have bad intentions, but he broke our immigration laws. So we're going to charge him, and that's basically what's happening here is, and he's not allowing the NYPD to cooperate with ICE. He could easily do it. And he's gaslighting the public and hiding behind it. And he's pretending that he can't. So I'm going to say, when it comes to the migrant crisis, huge failure, huge, utter failure. Another issue I want to bring up. COVID was under Bill de Blasio. COVID was like the majority of Bill de Blasio, like actual COVID, when people were wearing masks, when people were scared, when people weren't out and about in the rest of the country, the majority of that was under Bill de Blasio. When Eric Adams came in, he was the guy that fired everybody. He was the guy that pressed the button ahead and said, you're going to put this in your body. And he hid behind the fact that Bill de Blasio implemented it a year and a half after COVID. A year and a half. You all worked through it. You all had it. You had antibodies. He forced everybody in New York City to stick something in their body that they didn't want or they didn't need. But not only did he do that, he kept the schools shut down. He kept your children masked. He kept the restaurants violating your HIPAA ability. He locked down and enforced complete tyranny in New York City for over a year past the rest of the entire country. So a lot of people say, oh, COVID's not him. He inherited that, just like they say he inherited the illegal immigrants. What are your thoughts on that, Eric?
You know, I always despise this ideology that, well, he inherited a problem, so it's not his fault. Well, isn't that the whole ideology behind having new elections and we have new people in office, so that we don't have stale leadership, and so that we do create change to make things better, to get another eye on it, right? If you're writing a story, if you're in college and you're writing an essay, don't you want someone to proofread it? Maybe they didn't see things that you saw. This was a great opportunity for Mayor Eric Adams to step in and to make rights for these wrongs. It's almost like, well, imagine, you know what? We see graffiti all over again. New York City, there's graffiti everywhere, right? And then Mayor Eric Adams gets in office and says, you know what? We're going to paint it and we're going to bring it back to the way it was, and we're going to make it look like the New York City we want to see. That would be a change, right? Or he could say, you know what? Send everybody and just let's add more graffiti to it because we're missing some spots. And that's what he did. Or sometimes, like the correlation that John uses, you said that he drove the car to the cliff. Adams drove it off the cliff. And that's a great point, is that he had an opportunity to change it. And that's what's so important. I learned that in the Marine Corps. When you take over in leadership in any position, you're supposed to put your foot down and put your stamp on it. And that's going to be the trajectory of your leadership and how you resemble yourself. And he showed it immediately, because he had an opportunity to say, you know what? I don't agree with these mandates. But instead, he took the ball and he ran with it, and touchdown. Mayor Eric Adams is the cause of a diminished police department, a diminished board of education, a diminished fire department, diminished sanitation. You're looking at the man right here.
100%. 100%. And you know what, Hispanic Society, how many people of you were forced to put that in your body? Right? I know some of you weren't, because you're close to the king, right? You went to Big Eddie, you went to Big Daddy Eddie, and he got you out off of it. But a lot of you are. A lot of you were forced to put something in your body that you didn't need. A lot of your friends, a lot of your family. I mean, complete, utter tyranny under this man. I mean, and everyone is giving this guy a pass. Everybody. And I'm like, he was the mayor. That was a mayoral order by Bill de Blasio. Day one, he could have ripped it down. Day one, he could have restored everyone that vested out prior, everyone that resigned. He could have got everybody back. He could have retained all the numbers in the New York City Police Department and the fire department and sanitation and the MTA and all the other, I'm sorry, not the MTA. They never had the mandates, but all the DOE and all of the other people that were subject to this arbitrary and capricious mandate. And he didn't do it. He pushed the boot down further on all these. So, I mean, when it comes to COVID, he fails miserably. I agree with you 100%. You should take leadership. If you're a sergeant and you get a new assignment, you get a bunch of ragtag mopes, and they're your squad, what are you going to do? Say, oh, the sergeant before me, it was his fault because he was doing it this way? Nobody's going to buy that. Nobody's gonna. Like, what are you doing? You're a sergeant. You're the boss. Now he's not here. Why are you bringing up his name? You know, and like I agree with you 100%. So crime, he fails. COVID, he fails. Migrants, he fails.
Well, let me ask you this, right? Before we even go further, right? Let me ask you this. This is what I'm curious about, right? We know the answer, but let's be honest. Why now? Mayor Eric Adams has been in politics for many years, beyond his retirement in law enforcement. He was the Brooklyn Borough president. He was in the Senate. Why now? What about his accomplishments then? Why wasn't he honored years ago? What has changed now? And that's exactly what's so reflective of being self-serving, because the Hispanic Society saw an opportunity to serve themselves through Ed Caban. Ed Caban is going to be the big guy on campus. Don't worry, I'm going to get the Hispanic Society more promotions. We'll just make Eric Adams Man of the Year. Because if anything, he's had more accomplishments. I wouldn't say accomplishments, but at least he's actually done more things in the past where he's put his foot down against stop, question, frisk. Why wasn't he Man of the Year then? Why is he Man of the Year now?
That's a good point. It's a good point because he had zero accomplishments and he wasn't a very well-liked member of the NYPD and he wasn't a very productive member of the NYPD and he wasn't an all-around good person. He's a good person in front of the camera. He's not a good person off the camera. And, he points to everyone else for every decision. When it comes to New York City, there are these abolitionists for prisons. There's abolitionists for the criminal justice whatsoever. How do you feel he's done at Rikers Island and managing Rikers Island and, basically making Rikers Island a safe environment for guards, prisoners, visitors?
Epic fail, brother. If this was a scale of 1 to 10 and 10 being the worst, he absolutely gets an 11 off the scale. Epic fail. It's such a havoc society right now. And my heart goes out to the correctional officers, especially at Rikers Island, because the policies that have been handed and dealt to them are just insane. We talked about the How Many Stops Act, right? The proposed bill that got passed where it affects the police department. But what did not get too much mention is in that bill also was that the correction officers are now limited to when they put someone in a cell for, let's just be honest, bad behavior, where someone could only be put in a isolation type cell for so many hours at a time and so many hours in a week. And their hands have been tied. And that's an extremely difficult job. And he's made it far more dangerous. He's made it more, I guess he's made it safer, you could say, for the inmates when it comes to interactions with the security guards, as far as being dealt discipline. And I don't mean, being struck or anything like that, anything violent. I'm talking about being dealt discipline for their actions to create a society in jail where everyone could be safe and carry out their time. But he's made it just unbearable for these correction officers. And thank you to Mayor Eric Adams, another award-winning recipient.
How do you feel he's fared in attracting new businesses and new residents to New York City?
Oh, I'm so glad you're so glad that you asked that. We all know New York City has become the great escape. People are looking for better pastures. I see sometimes I watch Mr. Wonderful. Anybody knows Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank? Extremely intelligent, big money guy, investor, and he says it all the time. He would not have business right now in New York City. People are leaving New York City. The taxes are just insane. What's coming down with the congestion pricing, the migrant crisis, the illegal alien crisis, military age mail, the crime is up in opposition to what Mayor Eric Adams is saying. The truth is that New York City right now, and ultimately New York State as a whole, is unbearable. It's not a place to make money. And Mayor Eric Adams is at the forefront of that.
Absolutely. And that always stems from his famous saying, public safety is the prerequisite to prosperity, right? That comes from his statement. And we're not seeing public safety when you're seeing shoplifters rob with impunity from stores, when you're seeing people take whatever they want from other individuals with impunity, zero prosecution. Businesses tend to say, you know what, this really isn't a good business model. I'm going to leave here. The most affected people are the mom and pop shops, right? Because you really need that one store. That one store is a big driver of your income. Whereas opposed to corporations, you'll see hang around longer, but you're seeing big corporations close up. You're seeing Walgreens leave. You're seeing CVS leave. You're seeing Starbucks diminish their footprint. You're seeing a lot of people diminish their footprint. They'll obviously keep the real estate they have in the main areas, Times Square, down in Soho. They'll keep some type of footprint there, the larger corporations. And then as the real estate gets cheaper, they'll buy it back. They're not really, really affected by it. You know who's affected by it? The consumer and the mom and pop shops. And we're seeing even big businesses flee New York City. So I'm gonna grade him on attracting new businesses. Fail. What about as far as residents? Have you heard of anyone moving to New York City recently?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't see the reverse. I see people fleeing New York City and they're leaving for Tennessee, they're leaving for Florida, they're leaving for Texas, they're leaving for better pastures. But I absolutely do not see the reverse. I don't see people leaving from the South to go to New York. I know one person I spoke to that's actually a New York resident that went to Florida and they're going back to New York only because their family is sick and they're there to help out with family. And that's out of desperation. But by choice, because they see a better opportunity, absolutely not. And there's one more thing I just want to mention. I think there's something that we missed here, John. he is man of the year for certain things. And we forgot. He is by far the best dressed mayor. Who's paying for that?
I don't agree. I don't agree, by the way, but okay. That's a Sal Greco, Roger Stone thing. I absolutely don't agree with either of them. I mean, I don't think he dresses somewhat okay for a mayor, but he's the most expensive dressed mayor.
Well, that's what I was saying. Well, maybe that's a better way to put it. But also, he does the most parties of any mayor that we know. He attends the most parties. So I think that he should get an award for that. The ability to actually party till 4 or 5 in the morning, then get up the next day and accomplish all these issues. It's impressive.
Yeah. Well, but I think we missed something here, Eric. We just got to go back on the residents, because he hasn't attracted any tax-paying residents or businesses here, but he has attracted over 180,000 illegal immigrants who are low-skilled, who are out there committing numerous crimes on New York City streets. So there has been some migration to New York City. I think we missed that part. We got. I still say it's an epic fail on it, but there is some type of replacement going on in New York City, but it's not the kind of replacement that you want to see. It's not the kind of investment into New York City that you want to see. Let's go on to next topic, which I think is the biggest one. Is the NYPD a better run organization than it was 2.5 years ago, prior to Eric Adams coming in?
His leadership appointments? Oh, absolutely. You want to get to his leadership appointments? This is by far the best leadership appointments by a mayor that I've ever seen. If you actually wanted to design a leadership team that you can have be under your thumb and just act as total idiots, he picked the right team. Absolutely. Mayor Eric Adams has created an inept, immature, egotistical, unprofessional leadership of the NYPD and tarnished the shield, which I think is something that he wanted to do anyway. He's had an axe to grind with the NYPD for many years, and he did it. This was the opportunity, and the token pale white faces just fell right into it, and these other idiots are exactly that. They're useful idiots. Do you not agree?
Oh, I think I agree with you 1,000%. I mean, I just learned the other day. I just learned recently, because there's a heat wave in New York City, and I just learned something that I never knew. Everyone else in the community could get heat stroke, but cops can't. Cops in uniform with bulletproof vests, they're not subject to heat stroke. So we put cops out on foot post. We don't give them water. We don't give them an ability to have an RMP for safety reasons. Like, let's just say there's a shooting on a corner and the cops need to actually get to that next corner to stop somebody, to take cover behind, for one of them to sit in the car to cool off for a second when they're standing out there for 12 to 14 hours. So I didn't know. I was a New York City cop, and I did not know that when I put that uniform, that bulletproof vest on, and 16 pounds of equipment all around me, I didn't know I was immune to heat stroke. I had no idea. But what they've done is they've given cops water to give out to the community and take Twitter photos. So, I mean, I think the public should be aware of that, because I think more people would sign up for the NYPD if they knew that they were immune to certain things like heat stroke.
Well, not only that, I think that, unfortunately, John, let me inform you, because maybe you haven't been listening what's going on here, because they're so intelligent. Did you know that cops also, they don't require sleep? They don't require days off. They don't even need to go home. You could do a 16-hour tour, and then and maybe the next hour or two, you could start another tour, because they don't have enough cops, but you have this thing in you that just gives you so much energy. You can just keep working.
No, you know what else he did for cops? And I remember, and you know what else they don't need? They don't need partners. Cops don't need partners either. I don't even know why two of them together, because he was going to spread the cops out, right? He was going to take his force and double his force by making them work by themselves. Right? He did that in transit and it lasted about 4 hours until someone got thrown down the stairs. And thank God the guy was a big guy that got thrown down the stairs, or else we wouldn't be here right now. He wouldn't be having this conversation. There would have been another police funeral that had happened on the Eric Adams watch, because he just said, hey, well, we got all these numbers. We'll just split them up. We'll divide them. It's easy. Police work's easy, right? One of the heads of his department said it. Police work's an easy job. It's one of the best jobs in the city. You just might get shot doing it. right? That where do you think that white lib got that from? He worked for Eric Adams for years. He got that from the white lib hiding behind black man's skin named Eric Adams. That's the talk that's going on in New York City Mayor's office.
But let's be honest also, right? Like, most of the stuff we talk about is New York City Police Department. We talk about an array of topics. But right now, honestly, there are 2 police departments that are running within the same department. And for one police department, this is exactly what life is like. Overworked, tired, exhausted, mistreated, no water, CCRB, sustained civil liability, potentially lose your career, potential termination, have to be vaccinated. But then, if you're in tan pants, it's a complete different job. And if you're in tan pants, you're looking at Eric Adams like, you know what? He's the guy with the gold. That guy takes care of us. I mean, one of the detectives said in an interview with Dr. Phil, this administration takes care of us. And you know what? For them, this administration does take care of them. And it's complete opposition. And it's a slap in the face to their brothers that are out there in blue pants doing the job while these guys in tan pants have a legal team with them. They could say anything on social media. John, did you know that you could actually wear tan pants? You could violate the social media policy. You could attack a podcast. You could attack First Amendment rights and get away with it, and nothing happens to you. You could actually stomp your foot on someone's head, and you only get modified. I don't know if you know this, but if you're
I know that. Yeah, I know the tan pants squad. I know their captain Snug and Wanta. I know that he's very snug in Wanta. I seen him recently out at an event where someone drowned. He was standing there. He was standing there with another inspector and Kaz Daughtry. And Kaz Daughtry made sure there were numerous pictures of him being taken and put out on social media. And again, I'm not allowed to comment. So on Monday, I will be filing a DOI complaint and an IAB complaint for my inability to use my First Amendment speech to comment on a public official's Instagram page. There is zero reason why I shouldn't be able to comment. I give my thoughts, my opinion, and I ask questions, and I should be entitled to do so to someone who's paid by the money that I provide, by the taxes that I pay. So I will be filing a DOI complaint on you on Monday, Kaz Daughtry. I look forward to hearing the swift response from IAB and the DOI. So I think that's one. But they were stood out there. He took 1 million pictures of himself, and he posted it at the scene of a drowning because that's what's important. He had the tan pants captain with him, who is always snug and wanta, who just comes to New York City, doesn't really care about it. He just comes there to take some money and then leave. He doesn't really care too much about it. But yeah, you're right. The rest of his guys are playing video games. They're working out. They're unvaccinated. Not like the rest of the NYPD. They didn't have to abide by the vaccination status. They don't have to abide by the use of force policy. They don't have to abide by the social media policy. And they don't have to abide by the actual how you move up throughout your career in the NYPD, right? You don't even have to pass a sergeant's test. You could be a deputy commissioner. It doesn't matter if you have zero integrity and you lie on the stand twice. We could just promote you. It's no big deal. You could lie. You could be a part of that team and you could lie. You could violate that. You could, as a captain, take your entire team at work while on overtime and all get paid to troll somebody on social media and threaten them, right? That you could do all those things. That's a great point. For a very few handful of people that are on the get stuff done team, you're all a bunch of losers, and you're selling New York City out, and you're selling the NYPD out.
And I tell you, I'm really intimidated. I mean, I saw that captain. He looks really tough. I mean, he is from Wanta. It's a very tough area. He invited me to a bar. I'm a little intimidated. You know, I think I'm going to get back to the jiu-jitsu gym and train a little more and do some more MMA because he really intimidated me. You know, I was really terrified. You know, those tan pants are definitely intimidating. What's also important to talk about with the man of the year here is the great administration, the professionalism that they have showed under his leadership on social media. Because Mayor Eric Adams said, as the man of the year, that he likes John Shell's style. He likes when he actually has pissing matches with people. He likes the unprofessionalism. That, to me, that would be another opportunity to award him as man of the year. Sure. You know what? If I'm John Shell, I could act like a complete idiot, be completely unprofessional, embarrass the entire badge. I mean, listen, I just went on a recent podcast with the guys from Anti-Hero. And the guys from Anti-Hero were super cool. Check them out. They're in Orlando, Florida. And even they said, they were like, dude, we were talking offline. They're like, what's going on in New York, man? We used to idolize you guys. Like, you guys were so good. I mean, the leadership, he's like, dude, it looks terrible. I was like, I know. He's like, do you think it could ever go back to, and I said, we hope so. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Not because we hate it, because we love it. We love the NYPD we once knew.
Let's talk about appearances of the NYPD. There's a lot of talk about beards, uniforms. We expose that there's a little corruption going on when as far as it comes to 511 cargo pants. But as a leadership team, appearance, right? That's on your evaluations as an NYPD police officer, right? Your appearance, your your grooming. How do you shower? Do you cut your fingernails? Are you fit? Do you stay in shape? Right? Fitness, which is a joke because I think 95% of the people are going to fail that one, including some workout gurus. But how do you feel as far as the upper echelons appearance, physical uniform appearance, presentation to the public? How's Eric Adams' dream team doing when it comes to that?
Oh, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I'm going to mention this again. The first time that we mentioned this, you and I were coined as racist by the tan pants of the NYPD on social media, because we commented on the appearance of Kaz Daughtry, because
that was their legal team. That was their legal team.
That was their legal team. That's correct.
Their legal team.
I would like to advise the public that their legal team not only defends them when they're out there doing police work, but also defends them on social media when they're attacking a podcast called New York's Finest Unfiltered Podcast. Quite interesting.
And if you report corruption, he says that you're a rat. Attorney for the NYPD.
Yes. Reporting corruption is a rat. This is a great legal team, by the way. This is a great defense attorney. But what's quite interesting, right? We commented because Kaz Daughtry was wearing his hat sloppy, his uniform looked terrible, and because of that, we were racist. And I thought, because I learned this in the Marine Corps, and I guess I was wrong, that leaders are supposed to set the example, that if I expect you to have your uniform squared away, I should have the same. But I guess I was wrong. So sure enough, John put out a great clip the other day. And where Kaz Daughtry is responding to the scene of an incident, and he's responding. His hat is backwards. Hey, listen, you might say, Mo, my hat is backwards right now, but I'm doing a podcast. I'm not in uniform. His hat was backwards, and as he got close to where the cameras were, which just shows that he was aware that he looked like a complete idiot, because he had to turn his hat around and turn it the correct way. So it just shows what's actually going on. In that little snippet, to me, that it showed a lot of what's actually going on behind the scenes. In that little snippet, the fact that he had his hat backwards, and then when the cameras came, he went to turn his hat around. John, to me, that revealed a lot of what's actually going on in the job.
Well, one, he has a deputy commissioner of operations hat. I don't know where that's authorized in the NYPD. There's only one baseball cap that's authorized in the NYPD. It says NYPD on it. It's blue and NYPD in big white letters on it. So again, I can make my own hat because I'm my own hero, right? I can make my own coin with me standing in front of a Dodge Durango SRT that the city pays for. And I could stand there like I'm a superhero in my own hat, which is backwards. And then I have my own white and gold shirt, like I'm a boss, like I attained rank in the NYPD, that says Deputy Commissioner Operations on it, instead of wearing a suit, like every other Deputy Commissioner Operations has done prior to him and ran concept prior to him. So I think when it comes to appearance, epic fail. We made fun of him because he used to wear his hat sideways and have a shirt hanging out of his pants and wearing Timberlands. And I played a Lloyd Banks song when I put the meme out. And they said because of that, it was racist. We were racist. I said, oh, but if it was a white guy dressed the exact same way and I did a meme him and I put a Lloyd Banks song on, that's not racist. Got it. Great legal team. Great theory. You guys are great. There was also two low integrity and lieutenants in there, and I'm sort of shocked they haven't been promoted. That you guys both should get LSA, if not commissioner jobs, because lying on the stand, having people who work around you who don't trust you, who accuse you of robbing things from prisoners, passing video to the media, things of that nature, gets you ahead in the NYPD, apparently. So I think as far as appearance of leadership in the NYPD, epic fail on New York City Mayor Eric Adams' point. When it comes to integrity of the leadership, epic fail. The scandals surrounding each and every one of these individuals, it's outlandish. All of you would be fired if you had any one of their jackets. If any one of those things, you were accused of any one of those things, you would not be New York City police officers now. So I think epic fail as it comes to the leadership. What about as far as attracting new officers, Eric? Do you feel like under Eric Adams, people want to become New York City police officers?
Absolutely. Far few in between. This is by far the least amount of people I've ever seen that want to be New York City police officers or just be police officers in general, but especially New York City police, the iconic NYPD. No one wants this job right now. And what was the best source of information to recruit people for the NYPD? Was word of mouth. John's not going to tell anyone to become an NYPD cop. I sure as hell won't tell anyone to be an NYPD cop. Absolutely not. And especially under the leadership of Mayor Eric Adams, you are headed for failure. Right now, the department is completely diminished. We are headed for some dark times when it comes to the attrition rate of the NYPD, despite the fact that they're lying to the public of what their manpower is. It's a complete lie. Eventually, we'll need to figure out. Maybe someone like Sam Antar could help us figure out what's the actual numbers and the manpower of the NYPD, because Mayor Eric Adams is completely lying. And listen, there's no mistake. There's no hiding around it. We speak to cops all the time, despite the fact that it's pretty much a gag order. We speak to them anonymous, and yes, we will protect them from exposing who they are. And they don't give us detailed information or confidential information, but we're a source where they can actually talk to, because they're hurting right now and no one's helping them, including the union. But I speak to people out there. There's barely anybody working. They're overworked. They're tired. They have no days off. They have no life other than the NYPD. And you talk about this contract raise, they could care less. They don't even care if they made less money right now, but they want to have a life and they want to have a fresh breath of air right now.
100%. I mean, people are leaving left and right for less money. So the argument that they're leaving for better pay from Pat Hendry, Pat, your head looks terrible. Please shave it. I keep asking you. You haven't done it yet. Your speeches are terrible. As much as I didn't like Pat Lynch, he was a much better speaker than you. Please step your game up. Dress better. Shave your head. Let's go. Get in the game a little bit. Start filing some lawsuits. Use those attorneys you have on standby and start pushing back. You push back on Joe Fox. You're pushing back on CCRB with words. Start to push back with legal action. You're making enough money. Your guys are paying you enough money to do it. Support the men and women in the New York City Police Department. Myself and Eric are bombarded daily with calls from cops who just want to talk, just want to pick our brain, just want advice. Why? Because mentally they're going through it. I talk to young guys that I've never met, that I don't know, and they're leaving. They have exit strategies, 10 years on the job. And by the way, I don't sit there and tell them leave. I don't. I'm not that guy. I'm like, get rank, try to get rank. Things pass. This administration will pass. Things will change. The job changes. It changes with each administration. I don't know what it's to hold, but if you don't have a better option, don't leave. If you can make more money, or if this comes down to you just can't do it anymore, then leave. If it comes down to your mental health and you can't take it anymore, leave. But every young guy I talk to, 10's the new 20. They have, or even 5. I mean, and we've seen the most in history amount of officers prior to their retirement age leave under New York City Mayor Eric Adams, and that is a fact. That is a fact. And he's not recruiting as he can, and even as he recruits, those officers, once they experience what it's like under this administration, where they're being told they're immune from heat stroke when they're really not, they want to leave. They leave. They're also planning their exit strategy. So I don't feel he's doing a very good. I forget. I don't have to feel he's doing a very good job. I think he's absolutely destroying the New York City Police Department, and the self-proclaimed dream team is leading the charge. They're hammering cops. They're hammering them, bro. Hammering them. I think it was 28 CDs in the 7.5 the other day on a detail. 28 CDs, and I heard that. What's the unit that they got out there? Like the new inspection units that are checking to see if cops got white socks?
Something like standard assessments unit, something like that.
I heard from a little birdie that they got unlimited overtime to hammer cops out. Is this? Come on, man. Come on.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And that's that's why they just make it easy for this podcast to have memes, because of the stupidity of what's going on with the department's fair leadership. I think what's also important to talk about, I think we should get into, let's talk about under Mayor Eric Adams as Man of the Year, the relationship with the New York City mayor, the NYPD, and the media, along with encryption of radios. Under Mayor Eric Adams, this is a disaster right now. We've never seen a relationship with the media in this. The media is terrified of Eric Adams.
Yeah, and I think not even just media. I think it should be media and public relations for this section, because I think as far as like, because the media basically is communicating through the public, right? If you're not going to go out there and speak to your politician, you're going to get all your information from the mainstream media, which I don't recommend. But you could do that on the basis of understand what's going on, right? Like what's happening, what are the major issues, and then you got to drill down further to see actually what's going on. But when it comes to this, I'm going to say right now, this is the least transparent administration in my lifetime. In the social media age, in the technology age, they're removing the ability to access like basically public forums. Look, I can't comment on Kaz Daughtry's thing. I've never threatened the guy. I don't make stupid accusations. I don't say crazy things. I ask questions and I give my opinion on statements that are made. Why is that not allowed in America? Why is that not allowed in New York City? Because Eric Adams doesn't believe in transparency. And you're right, Eric. That's why I believe he encrypted the radios so people can't hear what's going on, because he doesn't want to create that perception. But actually, he is creating the perception by shutting that radio off and tuning them out. That's what he's doing. He's creating the perception everything's okay, when in reality, it isn't.
You know why? You know why you can't comment, John? Because if you were on the job right now, and if I was too, he'd be kicking on crack of asses. So we wouldn't be able to say nothing. And right now, because we do have a voice in its opposition of the king, the complete monarch of New York City, he can't take it. And he brought his ideology, his egotistical mind to the NYPD leadership. And it's become egos over everything. It's the most important thing in the relationship that they have with the media. And I'm glad you brought that up. I think that was a good point. Personal relations is embarrassing. It's not stoic. It's not professional. It's just tarnishing. It's actually tarnishing the shield. It's tarnishing the department. You know, John and I have built a network right now. We speak to cops throughout the entire country, corrections officers throughout the entire country, and everyone sees it because New York City, everyone has eyes on New York City, especially the NYPD. It's iconic. I travel all over the country, and I see people that have NYPD hats and NYPD T-shirts, but far less than I used to see. And when I do speak to people about New York City and the NYPD and the podcast, they tell me, wow, it's such a shame what's going on in New York City, man. The NYPD was amazing. I mean, we were celebrities. John says it all the time, right? Celebrities with the muscle went out the money. And we lost that. And you can't just blame former Mayor Bill de Blasio, because Mayor Eric Adams took it to another level. He took it to another level. He had a great opportunity to say, you know what? I was with the department. I am the silver linings. I'm going to make this better. We're going to change things around, make a seismic shift. I understand how important Board of Education is to the public. I understand how hard the sanitation guys work. I understand the safety measures that need to be implemented for our correction officers. I understand how important it is to have a strong fire department. I understand how important it is to have recruitment. And I understand that our community is reflective of our police department. Our police department is diverse and organic, but instead he turned it around and shifted it. And now it's just heavy black and brown, not even brown Hispanic. It's heavy black. And listen, I have no problem as long as it's organic and people deserve to be there. But it was far more diverse before the man of the year stepped into office.
Yeah, I mean, listen, so like, what is it? Why do you believe, and I think you said it, but like if we could just hone in on it now, why do you believe, and I got to get this guy's face off the screen, it's terrible. Why do you believe, I can't look at it anymore. Why do you believe that the NYPD Hispanic Society named Eric Adams the man of the year? I'd love to hear from them, Eric. So I hope they take you up on the offer to come on here and explain why they believe. So I won't even ask a question. I just want to hear it.
Well, I would
just
love
come
to
on here and just say it, and that's it. We're good. Or you could just tweet at us. We're good. I just want to hear that explanation. But why do you think, Eric?
I would love to have people like Joseph Ayala on this show, and you know who's a.
You think he's a fan of the podcast?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's why I always say that, and that's what the reason why I brought up his name. I know he's not a fan of the podcast.
Maybe Joe and Patrice could come on. What do you think he'll come on?
Opposition breaks opportunity. So you know what? If they're in opposition and they say, listen, I want to debunk, and here's why Mayor Eric Adams should be the mayor, other than it's self-serving and it's an opportunity to promote those that are within the Hispanic society and get discretionary promotions, or have people work on the job that are not vaccinated, have people work on the job that have been caught lying, and then they could get away with it and not be terminated as we see in the discipline matrix, and and different charges, different discipline that we've seen, and people are getting they're getting the mitigating factors because they fall under Ed Caban, the king of the Hispanic Society. That's why I say I have no problems with these guys. Joseph Ayala, I invite you, come on this podcast. Let's talk about this. You have a big foot in the Hispanic Society. Tell me why John and I are wrong, right? Because you're probably going to say that we're haters, and that's fine. I don't care what you say. But if you're going to say it, come on this podcast and talk to us. We'll have a professional conversation. Tell us why he's man of the year. And if you could tell us, I'll say, you know what? I concede. You're right. But if you can't do that, I expect you won't come on this show.
Listen, I think both the Joes that you just brought up, I think they're both good guys. I do. I know a lot of people that know them. They all like them. I don't know them personally. I don't care to know them personally. But I'm not kidding. Like, come on here. Just tell us what it is. I won't even ask a question. I don't care. I just want to hear it. I just want to hear what it is that he's the man of the year. I agree with you, Eric. I think, in my opinion, I think that Ed Caban and Chief Pintos had a big say in making Eric Adams the man of the year because they're looking to get promotions done inside of the Hispanic Society. That's my belief. That's what I think we'll see. I don't think there's any basis of why this guy's the man of the year. And just to be fair to all of the awards of all of these things, I don't really know why any of these people win any awards. I don't know why Kaz Daughtry's won 1 million awards. I don't know why Ed Caban's won 1 million awards. I don't know why Key Chan Sewell won any awards. Like, I don't know why any of them won awards. So, like, I'm just going to be front on that aspect of it. And I think that's it, my friend.
Well, listen, I agree. I know Joe Ipatrice. I worked with him. He's actually a good guy. I have no problems, but I would like, I would love Joe to come on here sometime and we could talk about some of the issues going on. Joe is a good guy. And Joe Ayala, I don't know him personally. I know he did some great police work out there. I know he was involved in the incident, the 4-6. I was there that night. I don't want to even go into it further because it's just so sad. But, going further in your career, listen, we have to be honest with what's going on here. Okay. Is this self-serving for the Hispanic Society? And if it is, just admit it. Say, you know what? Listen, I see an opportunity to help the people that are in my fraternal organization. But to actually say that Mayor Eric Adams is man of the year, you're just lying to yourself because we just laid out the issues that are going on in the city. And we can't see a reflection of any accomplishments that correlate to Mayor Eric Adams. I mean, honestly, he's out there partying. And not only that, if you want to say there's any accomplishment he has, he's by far the most traveled mayor that we've ever had. He went to see the Pope. He went to Mexico City to check on the border. So, yeah, he's highly traveled. He's spending taxpayer money. But what has he done for the city? What has he done? Let's just say you're right. Let's say former Mayor Bill de Blasio destroyed the entire city. But what has he done to make life better? What steps has he done to make life better? Other than you being in tan pants, everyone else, the majority of the New York City residents, including the cops, what has he done to make life better?
But he is the nightlife mayor. And I will say, I'm going to say he's the Asian Jade. Asian Jade Society around Christmas time, great party. But I'm going to say Hispanic Society takes the cake. The Columbia Society, not impressed with, never was. And the rest of them, I'm not really impressed with either. So, it's not a hate on you guys, but like, I got to tell you right now, it's a joke. I feel it's a joke. It's the laughing stock of everything. We haven't really made many memes about it because it's a meme in itself. Your flyer is the meme. Like, that's it. The flyer is the meme.
I tell you what I'm waiting
for in this administration.
I tell you what I am waiting for. And I'm sure now that we have two spirits in the NYPD and we have men who want to be women and you can cut everything off and you're normal. I want to see next year the man of the year be a woman. That's what I want to see. I want to see the NYPD honor a woman as the man of the year. And then we'll make everything full circle.
Is it a woman or is it a man that identifies as a woman that you want to see?
I don't know at this point. You know what? I spent a lot of time in Asia, and I can tell you this. And one thing I'll give credit. When I was out in Thailand, they would say, no. We're lady boys. We're not women. I'm sorry. We're not men who become women. We're lady boys. So they were honest in who they were. So actually pretty funny. I know you're laughing. No, I did not.
For me, I don't even want to get into the questioning because I have
I did not indulge in lady boys.
Okay. All right. Thanks for clearing that up. But yeah, I think that's it. So Eric Adams, congratulations on being man of the year. We don't know why it is. Again, you're welcome to come on here. and tell us how great you've done. You know, I remember specifically you saying you were unbelievable when you were in the NYPD, and I'd love to hear all about it.
Same here. I love to hear about it. And also, I want to commend the tan pants guys out there. I mean, I really idolize you guys. You really intimidated me, honestly. You know what? I'll shut my mouth. Thank you so much.
I know. And don't worry, I just have to keep my call camera up so nothing miraculously just drops in my car and I get arrested for it. So, but with that, I hope everybody's snug and wanta. We're gonna wrap this one up. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Like always, we'll be back at you. If you got anything out there, anything you want us to talk about, feel free, reach out. All the support, we appreciate it. We appreciate our sponsors. We appreciate the people that push out the memes and our posts and all that. And, we hope all you guys stay safe, however you feel about this podcast or anything else. Or if you love Joe Biden, I really don't care. Let's have the conversations, baby. Let's go. Let's move forward. Eric, you got anything before we get out of here?
Brother, it was great. Listen, everybody, enjoy your day. June 23rd, enjoy with the family. Take care.
Law enforcement professionals dedicate their lives to serving and protecting our community. But who's protecting their financial futures? That's where Laidlaw Blue comes in. Our wealth management platform is specifically designed for the law enforcement community. Laidlaw Blue is a division within Laidlaw Wealth Management, run by retired New York City detective John McDermott. His status as a retired detective uniquely positions him to establish a deep connection between Laidlaw Blue and the law enforcement community. Our platform is easy to use and provides a range of financial services, including investment management, retirement planning, and insurance solutions. With Laidlaw Blue, you can secure your financial future and provide for your loved ones. Our team of experienced financial advisors understands the unique challenges and opportunities that law enforcement professionals face. We're here to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning and achieve your goals. Laidlaw Blue. Secure your financial future today. Book a meeting using the QR code displayed or call us directly on 888 901 Blue. That's 888 901 Blue.